Attention denizens of planet Earth.
Broadcasting from Carbondale in Southern Illinois' premier comic shop. And now your host, superlative shaman of comic book knowledge, Dan Brown. Flash the match signal in case of emergency for your host with the most on his mind, Matt Morton. Watch out, criminals. There's nothing funny to him about truth, justice, and the American way. It's Commander Harris himself, Scott Reed. And tuning in from the far reaches of no man's land, the mad scientist dream leader, Mike No. This is Campus Comics Cast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Campus Comics Cast. This is Dan Brown, and I'm joined this time by
Scott Reed
and Mike Atchison.
This will be the monthly sort of previews episode where we go through the new catalog. It's been a little bit since we've done this because comics haven't been shipping. Distribution has been pretty wonky, and nothing was shipping for a while. And now we're starting to get books in at the store again. There's weird stuff going on with DC, and not much Marvel stuff out yet, and just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. It's changing every day. So we just ask everybody coming in kind of bear with us for a little bit. As far as not being able to get stuff in, or things are getting delayed publishing wise and things like that. We don't have any kind of control over that stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind right now, until everything kind of settles.
And if they did want to come into the store, where exactly would that be at?
That would be at 816 East Main Street, Suite B in Carbondale, Illinois. And the physical store is open again. We just ask, everybody everybody wears a mask and just kind of practice social distancing within the store, just trying to keep everybody safe. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. We're not trying to infringe on anybody's rights or anything like that. Just, it's what the city's asked us to do. So
I have learned through all this that I apparently have a large head because none of these masks fit me. Yeah, they pull my ears forward, and it's just
yeah, I've got the same thing. My earlobes don't hang down; they just connect to the side of my face, and so some of them have been really a pain. I've had to kind of have one made. So yeah.
I look like Howdy Doody.
Mike's forgetting this is audio only, and is trying to everybody that. Because we are recording on Skype right now, so we're all kind of different spots right now too. So it's another innovation we've had to kind of grasp here on the podcast, so we can get everybody on here and keep this going for a while.
Yeah, because I've never been a fan of doing it this way, just because sometimes the audio gets a little wonky. I'm sure, if you listen to the last one, my voice is much louder than Dan's because I'm the one sitting at the recording. Whereas, whenever you come in, you got obviously the lag on the internet connection, all that fun stuff. So I apologize for all of that now. So
and we've talked about it, doing it for a while, but it's always been a way to keep Mike Atchison off of here.
Yeah.
Not have him participate. So we kind of have that excuse anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're going to be taking a look at the May-June previews for products start to ship in August, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and we probably should say we are probably going to mention some books that we have mentioned in previous previews episodes because they're all being or a lot of them are being resolicited. So we apologize for that. So.
But, and again, there'll be other things to bring up like that. And, the other part of that is I want to know when stuff gets resolicited because if I want to know books coming out, is it still coming out?
Yep.
I want to try to keep up on that to make sure we order it. Yeah. So this is issues 380 and 381 of the previews catalog that we've got. So we're going to start on the big book.
Yep. Page 24 is my first thing. So.
Well, me too, because this is the page that says orders are due on June 18th.
But it will actually be for the shop. It'll be a little after that, though, right?
Yeah, but try to have, if you want something, try to let Mike know at the store know.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
And again,
the sooner the better, especially with everything going on right now.
And again, right now, Mike is focusing on his pull customers. So you want to be for sure that if there are some books that you want to get for certain, that you should really get a hold of Mike and have him add those, become a pull customer at Campus Comics, and get those orders in.
Yeah, because so in the next few weeks, we're going to be phasing out just sort of extra books that we put on the shelf. That's not going to be a thing for too much longer at the store. So if you're interested in something, really kind of come in and let us know what you're looking for.
So, and then I guess another thing to mention here on the previews catalog is that there's no longer going to be a physical DC previews book. That didn't last very long. They've only had it now for what, like a year, maybe a little longer than a year, and it's going away.
But yeah.
Okay, so but yeah, that's going to be gone. It's going to be either it's going to be digital, and then they're going to move back into the regular previews catalog. Is that correct?
I hope so. I haven't heard for sure, I guess, and reading the digital version sounds like they're going to be expanding that. So maybe that'll be in addition too, but I kind of hope, it's a way easier to look through a book than it is flip around on my phone on this stuff right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we'll be doing. So, if you pick up the new previews catalog, that's why there's no DC in here. Mm-hmm. It's not that DC isn't making stuff. It's called they're in kind of going back and forth with Diamond right now. So they're not in this latest catalog, but there is DC stuff coming out. Again, that's something we'll be going over later in the episode, but it's something to keep an eye on if you're wanting to get some DC books.
Well, my next thing's not till 48. So
well, on page 27, we've got our free comic book day section, and so this has been postponed because it was supposed to be back in May. Mm-hmm. So they haven't said when they're doing it yet, but it is supposed to still be happening. So just kind of keep an eye out for that, and I'm sure we'll be mentioning it on here closer to when it actually happens. But it is still supposed to be happening, but just not yet. So I think you're next then, Scott.
Okay, so page 48, we've got the resolicit for Firepower, both issues 1 and 2. I talked about this book on a previous episode. This was actually supposed to have been out just right before Free Comic Book Day back in May. So now I think there are multiple issues of this book already that have been finished. So this is one that's probably going to, stay on. Once we get back on track, it should stay on track for a little bit. So that's been resolicited from Kirkman and art by Chris Samnee, and I think we all had a pretty positive view of the book whenever we got the advanced edition that we were able to read.
A few of us did read the preview thing. We just weren't on that. We were able to be on that episode. So
yeah.
I think we all had a pretty positive take on it.
Page 50. There's a new one-shot here called Hedra from Jesse Lonergan. This is an oversized book. It just looks like a very artsy sci-fi type story. They kind of mentioned 2001: A Space Odyssey in the blurb for the book. It's got a couple of good quotes, like from Warren Ellis. So if you're just want a little, I guess, one and done science fiction story from Image, this looks like a good option.
I didn't really see this going through the catalog earlier, but there's some pretty bold statements in here, what they're comparing this to.
Yeah.
Glorious exploration of the comics medium with echoes of 2001: A Space Odyssey, Flash Gordon, Chris Ware, and Mobius.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty high bar you're setting for yourself there. So.
Yep. So hopefully it will match. I got a few pages of art from the book, which there's not a whole. I mean, there's a lot going on, but not a whole lot. No text on those pages. Hopefully there's a little bit more to the story than that. 54. Philadelphia issue number 7 is actually starting a new story arc. So the first story arc, I guess, wrapped up with issue 6. So now we've got the Burn Baby Burn part 1. I didn't care too much for the first issue of this. I had a lot of time following the characters because they were all dressed very similar. But it had Matt gave it a pretty good review. So at some point I'm going to pick up issues 2 through 6 and give it another shot. So if you're looking to jump on and want to get the whole story arc, you can do that here with issue 7. My next thing's not till 88 now. So.
Well, on 87, the Dark Horse section, we've got the Rick and Morty character guide hardcover. So if you're a Rick and Morty fan, that might be something to pick up. It's got a gem of the month from Diamond on there. Again, something that I don't think DC is going to get anymore, even though I think there was some at the beginning of this catalog. What did you have next?
Well, okay, so page 88, this is really just and I really shouldn't be snarky about, the catalog this time, but for the Alien, the original screenplay issue 1, they forgot to change their text. So it says, just in time for Alien Day, April 26, 2020.
I bet there's a lot of that in here.
Yeah, I'm sure they just reused a lot of the catalog from what they had done before. So and then I jumped at 118.
Well, right after that on page 90, we've got Daddy Daughter Day hardcover. And what caught my eye on this is written by Jeff Bridges, the actor. And,
is it that Jeff Bridges?
Yeah, it is the dude.
Really?
Oh, okay.
And it's like his daughter have made this book, I guess. So I think that's kind of interesting, something different in here.
So he did the artwork for this as well, because he's the writer, artist, and cover artist for this book.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't even realize that was that Jeff. Yeah, it does say Jeff Bridges is the dude. Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I thought it was another Jeff Bridges too when I first kind of flipped by, but I'm like, oh wait, it is. On page 94, we've got the X-Ray Robot trade. Now, before everything shut down, the first issue of this had come out, and we haven't gotten anything else yet. So I'm hoping those individual issues still come out, and we're not just skipping to a trade here like Marvel's doing with several things.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard yet, but hopefully that's the case with that, because that first issue was really good, and it got a pretty positive response, publicly on that. So my next thing's on 118.
I'm also on 118. So you have The Last Ronin, right?
T-
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So this is I guess almost like the final TMNT story or something along that lines. You got it, written by Eastman and Laird, and Tom Waltz, I guess, is doing the regular story. And then I guess Eastman did some of the prelim artwork and maybe the page layouts, and it's finished by Andy Kuhn, I'm assuming is how you pronounce this. So basically there's one turtle left, so he's out to avenge, the fallen ones. They don't say here which turtle it is. Should we place bets right now on which is the surviving turtle?
I'm going to say Raphael.
See, I'm going to go with Leonardo. But that's just because Leonardo's my favorite of the four. So.
I just remember back in the Mirage days, there was some, and again, this doesn't, have any real weight to it, but I remember there was sort of an alternate future where I think Raphael was the last one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what
it would make sense for him to be the last one.
But again, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we'll see. But again, I think the big headline here is Eastman and Laird working together again.
Mm-hmm.
And
it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and their relationship hasn't been the best over the last few years.
So maybe what money will do to a relationship.
It is. Well, it's also, I don't know if everybody saw the Toys That Made Us Turtles episode they did. They kind of had a reunion with them on there. And word is maybe this is kind of what led to this book here. So let's see. Next.
155 is my next thing.
Okay, my next thing is 138, still in IDW here, is Voyage to the Stars #1. And so this is just sort of a cartoony sci-fi looking thing. But it looks like it's based on a podcast. So, I mean, if this made podcasts get comics, I'm just saying maybe someday podcasts actually about comic books can get one. We'll see. Knock on wood. Going into Marvel, 155.
155, yeah. So we've got Maestro issue 1. So this is one of the few, I guess, new or non-Empire stories that Marvel is soliciting this month. So we're going to get the origin of Maestro. So that was the Future Imperfect story from Peter David. Dale Keown, is that how you say his last name, Keown?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, we're getting the origin of that character in a 5-issue series. Peter David writing, that's usually pretty good.
Yeah, and I like Future Imperfect, so I'm going to pick this one up.
Yeah, that was an excellent story.
So. Fine. And I'm really surprised, even Marvel's MO, they just haven't ran this character into the ground over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, I don't know if they just let Peter David handle the character or what the deal is, but
they used him some in Old Man Logan, and then he showed up. He showed up a few times, but not as much as you think that he would show up.
Like an alternate evil old Hulk, you'd think they would use quite a bit until you're sick of him, like they do every other derivative character like that.
Well, if this is successful, then you can expect that to happen moving forward. So.
Well, that's the thing, though, too. Are we going to see Maestro in a movie in the next few years? Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we need to raise the character's profile for that.
Maybe.
let's see, 165 is the next thing I have.
Okay, so 163, the month before we started Shelter in Place, how in the world was Spider-Woman #1 the top-selling comic? I don't see it. I don't understand that. It's outsold like the #2 book by like 50,000 issues.
Yeah, I know a lot of variants.
Yeah, or maybe it's just that Marvel
free copies.
Yeah, maybe that's what they did, but I did not see how that was such a particularly popular book. But apparently, it's one of the top sellers. It was a top seller for issue 1 the month it came out. So.
Maybe it was on Loot Crate or something. You know, there's all that kind of finagling you can do now with the numbers, so there's no telling.
Yeah, that could be. So 174.
Well, to 165 real quick.
Okay.
We've got Fantastic Four Antithesis #1. And so this is Mark Waid writing with Neil Adams on art. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the first, like, kind of Fantastic Four story for real that Neil Adams has done. So this is kind of interesting.
Again, I don't dig his Silver Surfer, though, or his Thing. They are, yeah, not particularly good.
It's Neil Adams. Who knows if it's really him at this point? Yeah. You know, or somebody in continuity doing it. I mean, it's studio continuity, not like in continuity.
Right.
Comics, but just people aren't aware. But again, Mark Waid writing Fantastic Four. I'm always down for that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was your next thing?
174. So 174, we got Black Cat #12.
Which has been really good.
And it's introducing Iron Cat. So apparently Felicia Hardy is going to steal some of Tony Stark's armor, and we're going to get the first appearance of this particular character, this version of Felicia Hardy. So just as a kind of put that on your radar as a book maybe to watch.
Right above that on the same page, what I wanted to talk about was the Spider-Man #1 facsimile edition. So this
because there aren't 4.5 million copies of that book out there anyway.
So this is, the first Todd McFarlane issue of the adjectiveless Spider-Man from 1990. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we have any in the store right now, but this is the book we usually have in stock. And there's a ton of them out there, so it's like,
why?
I don't know who the book is for. Like, I have it, I've got a few copies. I'm sure everybody here does. But yeah, I guess maybe if you got rid of yours from when you were a kid, pick it up. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, you can buy the original for not much more than this, so.
It's not $4 though, so maybe there's that.
Yeah. 186 is my next thing.
There you go.
All right, so 186, we've got the part 2 of X-Men God Loves, Man Kills extended cut gallery edition. Actually, I'm sorry, this is the hardcover. The part 2 was earlier in the catalog. So this is actually a hardcover version of God Loves, Man Kills director's cut. So definitely something, if you've not read this story, this is like, it probably, possibly, if not the best story, it's definitely one of the top, about top 3 X-Men stories that's ever been written. So
they did some of this for X2, right?
Did they? I don't remember. Maybe. It's been so long since I've seen X2.
I've never read this, but I remember hearing that at the time. That
you need to read this. It's
I know. It's one of those things on the list.
Yeah, I've got the original and the I don't know what year it was reprinted, the copy I have, but it's my favorite X-Men story.
Wow.
It's been done multiple times. So Marvel graphic novel 5, I think, was the original one. Oversized and good book. I don't have anything until 222.
Okay, well on 193, again, we're sort of in the Marvel Collected Editions section here. We've got Marvel Spider-Man, The Black Cat Strikes trade paperback. So this is the book sort of in the universe of the PS4 Spider-Man game. And this is a book I was getting. It was a miniseries. It's been canceled. There's no more physical copies of this book coming out. If you want to finish the story, you have to get this trade or get it digitally. So there's no more physical copies. This is one of the books they're doing that with. And I know we talked about that last time. So just kind of be aware if you're like, where's the next issue of this? Some stuff's not coming back. So 230 going in Boom. We've got Slaughterhouse 5 graphic novel. This is based on the Kurt Vonnegut book. I don't know if you're going to adapt to anything of Kurt Vonnegut's. It's probably the easiest to do. There was a film of it years ago. I read some of his books growing up and stuff, so I'll probably check this out just to see how it is.
Backing up to 222, also from Boom, we got Seven Secrets #1. I don't feel like there's a whole lot of new #1s in this catalog.
No. Well, we're probably gonna hold off on that stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Till everything gets settled down.
Now it gets, it's got some nice accolades from Scott Snyder and Donny Cates. So if you're looking for just a new book, they say it's for fans of Once and Future and Undiscovered Country. Now, I didn't care for Undiscovered Country, but anyway, Once and Future was a pretty well received book. So this is something that you might take a look at.
242, still in the Boom section, we've got the Incorruptible Omnibus. This was the book by Mark Waid. So there was Irredeemable was the first series about like a Superman type hero kind of going rogue and becoming like the world's greatest villain. Incorruptible was sort of the sister book to that, of like basically the greatest villain realizing he's the only one that can stop this guy, and so now he has to become the hero. And as good as Irredeemable was, I feel like Incorruptible was almost the better story. They both kind of intertwine and kind of work off of each other. But they're both definitely worth reading. But Incorruptible is really good. I can't recommend this enough.
That's a book that I have never read.
Yeah,
Irredeemable or Incorruptible.
Have you read any of these?
No.
Yeah, I definitely think this would be up your alley. This is really kind of good. Kind of take on the Superman archetype and kind of twisting that around a little bit. So again, really good book. I know they were talking about doing an Irredeemable movie at some point, but I don't know if that's still happening.
I don't have anything till 366. So,
okay. Well, kind of moving on, sort of the independent section here. 260 looks like there's a new printing of Molly Danger coming out by Jamal Igle and Juan Castro. Good, just a good, little girl superhero fun book. It was a Kickstarter thing. I didn't get it on the Kickstarter. I bought it later, but I really enjoyed it. Kind of a lot of world building in this first issue, and I know they were trying to do a second volume, but I don't know if that ever came out or not.
I don't think so. I think there's only just been the one.
Yeah, that's too bad because there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and I've read that. I can't remember if I Kickstarted that or not. I'll have to check.
So on page 300 from Clover Press, we've got a X-Men #1, and so this is the Jonathan Hickman, the current series run. And it's a variant cover by Kevin Eastman of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we were talking about. I don't know why he's got a variant and why it's through this other company, but here it is. I guess if you're getting all the X-Men #1 covers, you want to get this.
Well, it's the same way that they're doing all the Michael Turner variants for various books with I can't even remember the company, Aspen.
Yeah. So 329, we've got the Marvel Eat the Universe official cookbook hardcover, and so this comes from like their YouTube cooking show they do, and so I guess this is kind of collecting the recipes from there. So on one hand, I could just get on YouTube and watch all these.
Right.
Or maybe if you're a fan of that show and you want the cookbook, here it is. Let's see, my next thing is 366.
That's where I'm at too. The Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics hardcover, I assume is what you were talking about. This was this is a resolicit. There was also supposed to be a free comic book day that introduced this, but there really isn't a better way that I think you can do a biography of Kirby than in comics. So.
Yeah, this is Tom Scioli doing this, who loves Kirby. If you've seen any of his stuff, you get it. He's done American Barbarian. He did the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover from a couple years ago. The Myth of 8 Opus was like his first indie thing, I think, and that thing is just knee deep in Kirby.
Yeah.
You can tell this is really a labor of love with him, and I know he's on the Cartoonist Kayfabe YouTube channel quite a bit. So I don't know if they've talked about that with him yet, but I'm sure they will if they haven't already.
370, Blade Runner issue 9 from Titan, new story arc starting. I'm behind on this book. I have the issues. I just haven't gotten around to reading them yet. But what I've read so far has been pretty good. So if you're a Blade Runner fan, then you should definitely be reading this because it's not like you're overwhelmed with Blade Runner material.
On $3.75. So I don't really have a specific thing to talk about here. This is just sort of the Tomorrow's section with all their magazines, and I've kind of been following them online. Sounds like they're not doing too great right now, as you can imagine. Most publishers aren't, but they're, again, a smaller company. So I know they've been having some sales and things, and so if you want to support them, now would be a good time to. They make Back Issue and Alter Ego and Retro Fan, Jack Kirby Collector, a lot of great quality magazines. And again, we can order all this stuff at the store too if you're interested. But if you've been thinking about picking up something from them, now's probably the time to do it, because
That's a good point, Dan. I'm as much a fan of comics or of comic history as I am of comics themselves at this point in my life, and I love the Tomorrow's publications.
Yeah, I've never read anything and be like, why'd I waste my money on this? That's never happened.
Right.
It's always like I should have paid more for this usually.
Dennis and I used to like make a deal. I'd buy it and then he'd pay me half back to read it himself. So it was a good arrangement.
Yeah, really good stuff from them.
$3.79.
Yeah.
Okay, so $3.79. Valiant's got a new #1 this month. Savage #1. Kind of looks like a Tarzan who's on Facebook type of a story. The way when you read the blurb. But anyway, new #1 from Valiant for the Valiant universe.
I think that's everything I have for this side of the catalog.
Yeah, me too.
Over to the other.
Yep. Boom, yeah, virtually flip it here. So I only have one thing on this side, and it's on page 103. So you just go for a while.
Now, let's see. So on page 21 for Marvel Select, we've got the Marvel Select Hulkbuster action figure, and this is Iron Man in the Hulkbuster armor. I know we've got some different figures and things of this before. I think like there was a Marvel Legends one, like a Build-A-Figure or something, but I think this one looks really good. What is it? It's 8.5 inches tall. Yeah, so if you like Hulkbuster, Iron Man, this would probably be one to pick up.
And it's only $30.
Yeah. What is it? 28 from McFarlane Toys. We've got the next wave of the DC Multiverse that they've been doing, and so this wave is all based on Batman White Knight. And so we have a White Knight version of Batman, and we have Joker and Azrael from the Curse of the White Knight. I tweeted back when the first White Knight story was going on that I wanted a Joker action figure where you could swap out the heads. And here it is. They've done it.
There you go.
You've got Joker with sort of the Jack Napier alternate head.
You got that kind of sway, Dan.
I guess. Well, Sean Murphy saw it and liked the tweet, so I'm going to assume this is all me. But I guess I'm obligated to buy that now, too.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Right. Yeah, I'll be picking that up. Page 40. We've got the DC Superpowers Darkseid maquette, and this is sort of continuing the series with Tweeterhead. Yeah, just really cool, sort of classic-looking Darkseid. And below that, we've got the 112 collection DC Mr. Freeze deluxe figure. These all look great. They are out of my price range. Some of these figures, there's been a lot of pictures of this one online. This Mr. Freeze looks really good. 42, we've got, I can't remember if these were in here last time or not, but they're starting the new G.I. Joe Classified series of action figures, and this is more of a Marvel Legends, DC, multiverse sort of scale. 6-inch G.I. Joe figures, with a lot of articulation. There was a Snake Eyes one they released that was like a convention exclusive that came with a bunch of accessories, and so this is that line. But it looks like some cool figures are going to be coming out of that. 46, we've got the Toony Classics Bob Ross 6-inch figure. And so just a really cartoony looking Bob Ross action figure here. I don't know if Mike the owner of the store, knows about this or not, but definitely want to point it out to him. He's all about Bob Ross. Let's see. Page 58, sort of in the Funko section here. We've got the Pop Batman vinyl figures, and they're all based on the villains from the 90s movies, where you've got Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, Two-Face, Riddler, Mr. Freeze, and Poison Ivy. So Funko's been doing a lot of Batman pops the last year for the 80th anniversary of the character, and so I think this, they did a lot of movie versions. that, so it looks like they're kind of continuing that on with these here. There's also a couple Aerosmith ones of Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. And for some reason, the Steven Tyler pop does not look like somebody's aunt necessarily, even though that's kind of what he's looking like these days. Let's see. I don't have anything else till 105.
Okay, so I'm going to add a couple of things. I said 103, but on page 100, in the games section from Cryptozoic, we've got DC deck building game, Dark Knights Metal. So this is for anybody who's a fan of the DC deck builder game, which is a pretty good card game. This is another version of that game. I believe it's standalone. It doesn't require the original game. Most of them are. Also on page 100 from Hasbro, they are reprinting the Star Wars Hoth Ice Planet Adventure retro game back from, like, I would assume the Empire Strikes Back time. So you're probably looking at a board game from about 1980. I actually have a copy of this game shrink wrapped in my storage room. But mine didn't come with an exclusive action figure like this version does.
Is it like is it just a board game, or is it
just a board game?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a board game. And then on 103, there is a game that's getting an updated version called Villainous. The original version of this game, you played as some of the Disney villains from the various movies. In this game, you are playing as some of the villains from the Marvel universe. Right. So you have Thanos, Hela, Ultron, and 2 other villains to be announced soon. So I don't know if that means they weren't quite ready when this went to print.
Every player is a different villain then, or?
Yeah, so each player takes on the role of a different villain, and you have different objectives that you're trying to complete. I wasn't a huge fan of the regular Disney Villainous game. I've played it a couple of times. I will probably give it another shot if somebody has a copy of this, just to see if it's just the theme that I didn't care for, or if it's just the gameplay that I didn't care for. So
on 104, we've got Bob Ross Monopoly, so some more Bob Ross, and then what is it? Oh yeah, like a Bob Ross Rubik's Cube. Then on 105 from WizKids, we've got a Marvel HeroClix X-Men House of X. So they're just kind of showing the cover to one of the books there, but it's like, I feel like show some of the figures if it's a HeroClix set, I guess. Yeah. What do I know?
They surely have had plenty of time to get those up and going. So.
Yeah. And that's all I've got for the actual big book catalog.
Yep. So the DC digital book.
Yeah. So.
All right. So
again, we don't have a physical copy of this, so I'm kind of just scrolling through my phone here. So kind of, I don't know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here and some notes on it. So I'll go ahead and talk about page 1 while you guys are flipping ahead. So I think again, this is a resolicit. We get the Batman 3 Jokers #1, Jeff Johns doing the writing, Jason Fabok on art. This is a story that was hinted about in basically in the new 52 version of the DC universe. Yeah, seems like forever ago, and it's been further delayed.
Yeah, so, another book with the kind of big bold claims in here, bringing up Killing Joke and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm sure it'll be good, but is it Killing Joke good? We'll see.
Yeah, they're going through a very Watchmen-like page layout based on these preview pages as well. So it's not the static 9, but it's a much more traditional. Right.
Well, there was some of that in Killing Joke too, so they probably drawing from that too. So then we've got a little.
My next thing's 19. So
okay, I can't even read the page numbers on here. So we from Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo, we have a new sort of YA graphic novel of Teen Titans Beast Boy. I know I saw an interview with the writer a little while ago, and she was saying that they're doing this, and then I think there's going to be a third one with Raven and Beast Boy, like I think in a relationship or something like that. So if you like the Raven graphic novel that came out, probably want to check those out too. It's by the same team. Then we've got a little further. We've got Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2. Again, it's been a couple years for this. The Earth 1 stuff they kind of do at their own pace. Mm-hmm. I really wish they'd get them out quicker, because when they do come out, they're usually really good. I feel like Green Lantern.
I haven't been a big fan of the Earth 1 stuff. I thought they'd just been sort of so-so.
Yeah, I like the take on the Green Lantern one they did a couple of years ago. It's like set in the future. Again, I feel like they're good, but I feel like they could definitely be longer. Again, if they just came out at a quicker pace, maybe that would help. We've got a bunch of Joker War crossover stuff with the Batman books.
Mike, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say that I haven't read any of the Earth One graphic novels yet, but this one looks really good. I always feel like that the science fiction, angle is underutilized in comics, at least in a good way.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see this done. I'm going to read this one for sure.
Yeah, and that's something that DC really should be using more, considering their concepts they have with their characters. They should lean more heavily into that than they do.
Yeah, I didn't read the Green Lantern ones to begin with. I read the first couple of Superman and maybe the first Batman and the first Wonder Woman. And after that, none of them just really grabbed me, so I just kind of gave up on them.
The other part was, too, they lost a lot of steam with the New 52 reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really became, okay, what's the point of these books now?
I'm still stuck on Earth One being the main. I mean, the whole premise of Earth One being like an alternate universe to me, it's not in my mind what Earth One is the main fictional universe in DC pre-Crisis, so it still kind of throws me off.
Yeah, I can see why they called it that, but yeah, I kind of wish they would have called it something else. On
19 is my next thing, so
go ahead.
Okay, so Harley Quinn issue 75. This is the quote-unquote final issue of this series. We've got the
last Harley Quinn book we're ever going to get.
Yeah, there's still the Palmiotti Connor version, but they say, yes, we're serious. And then this is something you might want to keep an eye out for, because apparently there's going to be a bonus story in this one where Harley and Punchline are going to basically duke it out in some shape, form, or fashion. So we'll see what happens there. I saw I can't remember if it was Bleeding Cool or Comic Book Resources started a rumor or reposted a rumor that maybe Harley was going to die. We all know that's not going to happen.
Hold your breath on that.
Yeah, so they didn't take it too terribly far with that story, but it probably would be interesting for fans of Harley and or Punchline to be sure you pick this book up. Final issue, you get I think it's their first meeting. I can't remember if they met in the Joker War or not. I guess we haven't seen any of it yet to know for sure. Yeah. But something to keep an eye on.
On page 23, we've got Wonder Woman 761. And here they're still showing the Wonder Woman 84 variant cover. Mm-hmm. So the word was these have been canceled, and they're probably going to do them later when the movie actually comes out, since the movie's been delayed. So I don't know if this is actually a real variant cover that will be coming on this issue, or will get bumped to later. That would be my guess. So we'll see.
My big question is, what Max Lord are we going to get out of this? I mean, he was the Bwahaha Justice League villain, he was not originally a villain, but he became one, and then he was killed by Wonder Woman in the 52 Weekly series or thereabouts, and I don't know. I'm just curious as to how they'll pull him off now.
I would suspect it's going to be closer to the movie version of Max Lord as opposed to the comic version. But that, again, is just kind of a guess.
Yeah, and we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I assume they'll keep something to do with his psychic powers, but... Yeah,
the old nosebleed thing.
Exactly, yeah. 26 is my next thing.
What page?
26.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I just, Strange Adventures, we only got the first issue before quarantine, right? This is now officially a Black Label book, as if it wasn't really... before, but with issue 4, it is now officially a Black Label book. I still haven't even read the first issue yet, because I thought I want to get a few of them in before I sit down and read them. But I am looking forward to reading this, so it is something you might consider picking up.
Yep. I've read it, but I have to reread it, Scott, because I've forgotten.
It's been so long. Yeah.
Let's see. On page 35. We've got Batman: The Adventures Continue #3. So I've been reading some of this online. It's been really good, kind of continuing the Batman animated series continuity.
And we are planning to talk about the first 2 or 3 issues of this on a future podcast.
Yeah, we'll be kind of going over some of that soon. And again, I really like the variant covers they've had on here too. So we have a Dan Hipp one, kind of from Teen Titans Go, on here. But I'm really liking all these variant covers they've been doing for this book. Then we've got Batman's Grave #9. This is a book that I've really been enjoying. When everything kind of grinded to a halt, this is one of the books I was bummed out about because I've been enjoying it. It's Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch doing a Batman book together. And we've got on this new one, we've got a variant cover by Stephen Platt of Prophet fame from back in the day.
Oh.
So kind of surprised to see him popping up again. And again, I don't have a very high-res image of this to look at, but it looks like a pretty different.
It looks pretty solid.
Yeah,
It's like a solid cover.
Back in the 90s.
Hey, Dan or Scott, what page is Amethyst #5 on?
I think I've passed that.
I thought so.
31.
Okay, so I just want to point that out just for a plug because it's Amy Reeder and it's Amy Reeder and it's Amy Reeder. So I'll leave it at that. Good stuff.
What has Amy Reeder done that I would maybe recognize?
She did Madame Xanadu when Matt Wagner was the writer. It was probably around 2009, right before New 52. Fantastic. And she reminds me, well, actually, I should say Joelle Jones, when I first seen her stuff, reminded me of Amy Reeder. But I think she's a fantastic artist, and so far she's doing really well with Amethyst.
Yeah, and I think she did Rocket Girl, too, I think, that book.
Oh,
yeah. I think that was her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I read the first issue of that. That was from like Image or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. Next thing I got is 52.
Okay, I've got 39. Flash issue. Oh, we gotta find my page number here. So Flash 759 starts the final story arc from Joshua Williamson. He's been on the Flash since Rebirth.
Yeah.
I know I've read the first 6 or 7 volumes of this run. I haven't been keeping current with it. But what I read, again through the first like 6-7 volumes was actually pretty solid, pretty solid Flash stories. So his run is coming to an end. So
this is a guy that I've failed to buy the individual issues, and it's mostly because I have a bias against all that squiggly lines on his uniform, and I just have never been able to get over it. But everything, I mean, this guy's been sticking with him for years now, and I'm probably going to buy some trades. And Howard Porter's cover art.
Yeah.
I mean, Howard Porter, in 2005 or 6, I think he cut his hand and he broke a tendon and couldn't draw for a couple of years. And I was like devastated to hear that. But he's come back and he's doing some of the best artwork of his career. I mean, this is cover art, but it's great.
Well, he's been doing some interiors off and on that run too, and I'll try to pick those up. That's the thing. I should just stick and get this book, but I get it real sporadically with that. But yeah, they did the Flash Year 1 story that was really good. That Howard Porter drew all that. So yeah, I mean, I know it's not possible, especially when it double ships every month. But yeah, if he were the regular artist on this, I'd always be buying it.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong with that Howard Porter Flash.
I'm just really impressed with him.
Yeah, and it's like, if you really look at the details of his work, it's like he's not phoning it in.
No.
Take a look at like a character design that another artist did, and I mean, as an artist, you kind of know what the shortcuts are, and you look at and you see what Howard Porter's doing. It's like he's not taking shortcuts, with his details and stuff like that. He's usually adding detail, if anything. See, so on 52, we've got Suicide Squad #8 by Tom Taylor. Again, this is another one. It's been a really good run since started. This is one I was kind of bummed out about, when stuff wasn't shipping. So, and, we've got a new issue of that now since everything's kind of started up again. So then we've got Teen Titans Annual #2. I've been reading this current run with kind of Damian leading a team. And I see we've got a cover here that's sort of saying Damian Wayne, Robin no more, like he might be leaving the role or something like that. I don't know if that's just a fake out or what, but, maybe we're getting a new identity for Damian. We just got Drake for Tim Drake. So I think kind of keeping with that theme, we could definitely have Damian Wayne just as Lil Wayne now. And kind of keep that trend going.
Are you past the Legion of Superheroes #8?
Yes.
I only wanted to mention that one because, I wonder if this is a way for them to give Ryan Sook a break. They're doing this.
Yeah, it is.
2 issues, with guest artists, and they're going to highlight or spotlight different Legion members. I just hope it isn't the beginning of the end for Ryan Sook.
I heard Brian Michael Metis talk about this, and that's absolutely what it is. It is to give him a break and kind of keep up with the schedule. I think we're still going to get a good issue here. But yeah, that absolutely is what it is. And again, we'll see how that plays out. Again, when I saw Ryan Sook was drawing this book, I didn't expect him to be on it for 3 years. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
And before you jump back to where you're at in the book, I'm just trying to guess where you are. But even though I haven't been reading the Wonder Woman Dead Earth, I have been reading the Question the Deaths of Vic Sage. And it's excellent so far. So can't wait to get to pick that back up.
Yeah, I think it was must have been DC Daily on the DC Universe app. They were talking with Dennis Cowan a while back about that, and he was talking about how he just has to get back in the habit of like, how do I draw the question?
After 30 years, a lot of artists, their work suffers a bit just with their hand-eye coordination or their eyesight or their attention to detail, but Dennis Cowan's stuff has not, and I know he's being inked by Bill Sienkiewicz, but it looks really good, I think.
Let's see, what else do we got? I don't think I'm gonna be picking this up, but we've got the Blackest Night, Brightest Day box set coming out. So this is collecting all the Blackest Night and Brightest Day hardcovers.
There's a lot of people that consider Blackest Night their favorite big crossover, and it's far from that to me. It really is.
I liked it. It's good. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite crossover, but I liked it when I was reading it. It was sort of that's probably the beginning of the end of me with Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, though, because so much of it became about the other corps and the sort of Rainbow War thing they had going for so long. And just became this thing of like, what else is going on in the universe? Everybody else is getting away with murder because the Green Lanterns are fighting all these other ring bearers. But again, this is sort of like in line with the Crisis box that they did last year, where this comes in a nice big box. But again, $300, so it is a pricier kind of item there. Then after that, we've got Aquaman Deadly Waters Deluxe Edition, and so I think this is the end of the Silver Age Aquaman run.
It is issue 56.
Yeah.
I want to mention something that not many people know, but Steve Skeets, or Skates, however it's pronounced, he at different times he wrote both Aquaman and Submariner, and if you look up Aquaman 56, which is this cover that they're showing on this hardcover edition, and Submariner number 72, they're the same type of big aquatic monster thing. That's because Aquaman 56 was meant to be a two-parter, the first of a two-parter. And Steve Skeets was not told that it was ending. This is when that series was interrupted and it restarted years later. So later, when he was writing Submariner, he basically picked up this story and put it into Submariner number 72. It's the same story, just different heroes.
Yeah, so hopefully Marvel does a collection of that Submariner run too, so everybody can pick that up.
Oh, I love the Submariner stuff that Steve Skeets did.
Right below that, we've got Batman the Demon Trilogy hardcover. And so this is collecting some of the early Ra's al Ghul stuff, like the specials. So it's Birth of the Demon, Bride of the Demon, and Son of the Demon. And Birth of the Demon is great. They're all good books, but that really stands out for me. And I'm surprised that's one more people don't go on about. But that's Denny O'Neil and Norm Brayfogle kind of telling Ra's al Ghul's origin. And that's what the cover is here that they're showing. But it's just a really kind of good telling of the origin story of Ra's al Ghul and how he kind of ended up the way he is. And there's a really great fight scene out in the desert with him and Batman, and Ra's al Ghul shoves a shovel into Batman's chest, and then he's just down. And then, like, I think there's a 2-page spread where Batman gets back up with the shovel in his chest and, like, lightning's flashing behind him. It's really great. Actually, I had Norm Brayville sign that when I met him. Right after that, we've got Batman, The Road to No Man's Land Omnibus. So I guess this is... I don't know if this is just the lead up to No Man's Land or if this is actually No Man's Land. I'm not 100% on the issue numbers here because it's been so long. This was like 1999 this stuff came out. I feel like this might be like the stuff leading to like around Cataclysm and that. So it's kind of weird they're doing a collection of that. But I guess if there's another No Man's Land omnibus, this would be sort of a companion piece to that.
I'd say since they're advertising it as the road to No Man's Land, it's probably the lead up stuff to it.
Just seems like a weird thing. So again, speaking of Howard Porter, we've got the JLA by Grant Morrison omnibus in here too. And so this collects like their run and then some more stuff that Morrison did, like JLA Earth 2 and that. But yeah, that's just like Grant Morrison and Howard Porter's JLA. That is the Justice League to me. I can't recommend that highly enough. That's really where I really got into Howard Porter.
I'm always going, if somebody asks me what's your favorite iteration of the Justice League, it's the Satellite era, but that's mostly nostalgia. But as far as quality, it's this. It's Morrison Porter. That is the quality.
I'll cop to nostalgia being part of it for me, too, with this, because this is Justice League when I turned 16, and I was, started driving myself to the comic shop like a big boy. When there was an issue of JLA, I would sit out in the parking lot of my car and read this right away. Like, I wouldn't even go anywhere. I would sit down and read this new JLA because I had to have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good stuff.
So
the Electric Superman when he was a member.
Yeah, still some cool stuff with that. He moves the moon. Right. Morrison came up with cool stuff for those. So we've got the Genlock trade here. This is another book that was digital first that they've been releasing. So that's been cut off. There's no more physical issues of this coming out. It'll be the trade here. This is what you get for a physical copy if you've been getting the regular book. So what do we got? So we have a couple books here with this marked DC graphic novels for everyone. So sort of all ages stuff. And we've got the Supergirl Cosmic Adventures in the 8th grade. This is Landry Walker and Eric Jones. This was a good book they did. I think it was like 8 issues or something maybe. 6 here. It's a 6-issue miniseries, but it was a really good, fun book. And these guys later did Danger Club for Image about sort of a Lord of the Flies version of the Teen Titans sort of thing. That was great. But yeah, this book too, and again, that's not what this here is. This is just sort of an all ages kind of kids book that was really good. And then we've got Power of Shazam book 1 in the beginning. And so it looks like this is collecting the Jerry Ordway run from the 90s, but it's got the Power of Shazam graphic novel in there, which was great. And I think that's what this cover is from that. But yeah, that was just started really strong. I didn't read all of the book, the regular series, but that graphic novel that introduced everything was great. Just sort of a good retelling of Shazam's origin. Then we've got the Ruby. That's another one, sort of a digital first that they've been doing in print. That's done too now. If you want to finish reading it in print, you have to get this trade.
Is that how you pronounce that?
That's how I've heard people pronounce it, so it better be, or everyone's just trying to trick me.
I never did know.
I always just said RWBY, so.
Yeah,
Could be.
But I did never mention it very often, so because I haven't read any of it.
So a little further down here too, we've got the Teen Titans Raven and Beast Boy box set. So again, the Raven graphic novel and then this Beast Boy one that's in here. I'm not gonna say don't buy this, but they've said they're doing a 3rd volume, so why not just wait till the inevitable box set with the 3rd volume comes out too? Seems kind of silly to get that now. Yeah. If you gotta have it, if you haven't read Raven and you want to get caught up, maybe pick that up.
I want to back up just a few pages to the. I'm really excited that DC is. They did this with New Fun, but with a hardcover edition, they have they've brought back the tabloid or the Treasury-sized comics with this Superman versus Wonder Woman. Yeah. With the New Fun first, but this is the first one that's the one that it was a treasure edition first, and now they're bringing it back again as a tabloid-sized hardcover. So I had a big affinity for these types of comics. I mean, you can really see the art. It's just so exciting to pull out these tabloids and read them, because it's like in your face. And if you get it, I recommend this to anyone to buy, because I don't remember what this story's about, but it is based on the Earth 2 or the Golden Age Superman and Wonder Woman, because it's based on World War II, or it's a World War II story, and it's got Jose Luis Garcia Lopez art, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's, speaking of that too, I've got this too, and yeah, I've read it. I can't remember anything about this now. It's been so long since I've read it, so yeah, I don't know if anybody's listening, it isn't familiar, because again, they don't do that many of these anymore. Treasury size is the original art size that is produced for a comic book that's shrunk down during the printing process.
Right.
You're seeing the art at this size it's done typically, except for Brian Hitch's JLA Heaven's Ladder he did years ago. He actually went bigger with the art and had it shrunk down for the treasury size book, which he complained about later on is taking so much time. He didn't get paid extra for it. To which I'd say, why do it then? Yeah. If you're just going to complain about it later, that's kind of on him, I think. I doubt anybody asked him to do that.
Right.
But, it was important to him at the time, obviously.
And right before that Teen Titans book, the Raven and Beast Boy book you were talking about, the box set, you have the Clayman portfolio. And of modern artists, I don't know that I could pick a better. Somebody that I'm really excited about his art. And this particular, the image that's on in previews is a cover from Trinity, the comic series Trinity, and I had it signed by Clayman and C2E2 a few years ago. It's one of my favorite images, and it's just fantastic. So I'm not sure what else is in there, but I think I'm going to pick this up.
Well, cool. Well, there you go. You get a poster of it. Yeah, I didn't realize that's what that was. I just thought it was a trade. I just kind of scrolled by it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything real new in the collectibles. There's some more Batman animated figures and things like that. I don't think there's anything real crazy. That's all I had, though, in DC.
I didn't find a whole lot of blank covers this month. So there's, I guess this is pronounced Journey, JIRNI 1, and Minefield 1. I can't remember what publisher they're from. Heavy Metal issue 300, we didn't mention that one. So the 300th issue of Heavy Metal is also going to have a blank cover, and then the Savage one from Valiant has a blank cover. I guess the next question is I'll put Dan on the spot on this one. So, like, which book are you looking forward to out of this batch?
Big answer is just stuff coming back out again. That's what I'm excited about. If I got to pick something, it's probably The Last Ronin, the Turtles book. I'm kind of interested to see what that is. See if I am right, if it is Raphael.
You probably are. I'm probably wrong.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? What are you looking forward to out of this batch?
Oh my gosh. I'm embarrassed to say that most of it's the reprints from older issues, like that tabloid, or some of the art from Clayman. But that's, you know what? No, I'm going to say the Earth 1 Volume 2, the Green Lantern. That sounds like a good premise. I'm excited for that.
Well, I mean, if you're that excited about reprints, just be honest about it, but make sure you tweet Dan DiDio that and let him know. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
I have no problem doing that. I do want to the Max Lord issues of Wonder Woman. I'm excited to pick that up too. And I'm one of these guys. You know that I'm an older guy, and I'm always living in the past, but I still like the excitement of what's coming next in a new comic. So. I don't want people to get the impression that all I do is live in the past. I do want good news stories. It's just, it seems like they don't always, they aren't always meeting my expectations. So we'll see.
I'd probably go, since we did the advanced edition of Firepower, I'm kind of interested to see how that story changes, because they have a time jump several years into the future. We saw that in the last couple of pages. So I think I'm looking forward to that book and to see what Hickman, and of course Sam, the artwork is solid. So Dan, you got an investment pick?
I mean, I kind of want to say Maestro, but I feel like if that's the thing, it's just Future Imperfect would really be the investment thing with that. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure on here.
Okay.
Hey, I want to ask you guys for a recommendation. Give me one Marvel comic that I should start reading.
Black Cat.
Immortal Hulk.
Immortal Hulk and Black Cat. Okay, I've got the first 2 trades of Immortal Hulk, and I agree. But Black Cat as well. Okay.
Yeah, Black Cat's been really good. Just sort of a fun heist book. It's a really good take on a villain book. It's something that, back in the day they couldn't really do effectively with the comics code and all that. But again, they've really done a good job of making this a good villain book where, she can get away with some stuff, but nothing too crazy. It's just sort of a fun heist kind of scenario and kind of going around the Marvel Universe, stealing from the Fantastic Four and Doctor Strange and everybody. So just sort of a neat take on that.
I also like the Ta-Nehisi Coates run on Captain America right now. They're up to issue 21 or 22, I think was listed in this catalog. It's been really, really solid. You have to know going into it that this is coming out of the Secret Empire storyline where there's somebody replaces Captain America as a Hydra agent. So it's him kind of rebuilding his image to the general public. So I think that's been a really solid book for Marvel as well. So that's something else to think about.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a couple of books for potential investment. I think that Harley Quinn issue 75 could be something to pick up. You got the quote unquote last issue, but you got the backup story with the fight, right, between her and Punchline.
Punchline actually goes somewhere. Let's see.
Exactly, and that's the thing we still don't know.
Another Joker's daughter.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
Sorry, I was just speaking of Harley Quinn and Punchline, when do you think we're going to see Mime and Marionette in DC proper?
Not soon enough.
Exactly. I'm thinking, why did they bring Punchline in when you had 2 great characters like that? But
of course, at this point, I want to see him with a really good writer because there was such an incredible foundation laid for their origins in Doomsday Clock that I don't want to see somebody ruin those 2 characters by them.
That might be another thing too, where it is like that might just be Jeff John's baby. It might be a thing where everybody else is hands off on that.
Yeah.
And my other actually investment pick, because of the whole, people are going nuts over just the littlest things right now. That whole idea of an Iron Cat in Black Cat issue 12. Yeah. So that might be something to pick up as well. So.
Good.
Well, is that it? Everybody got anything else you want to say? Or
I think so. Just remember to get your pre-orders in with Mike at the shop. Get those added so that you can be sure you get the books that you want.
The store's open again, just so everybody knows. We're recording this on a Thursday. Saturday is supposed to be the grand reopening. A lot of stuff going on right now, so that's the plan right now, though. We're going to have some sales on back issues and trades and hardcovers and things like that, so be sure to come in. And we haven't
Saturday, June 6th.
Yeah, so we haven't had a lot of comics to read right now. They're being shut down, so come get some. Everybody's wanting to read, get back into all that. Now's a good time to do it. We got a shipment of a bunch of bags and boards in, so if you're behind on that, you want to get going on that again, get caught up. I know, Scott, you've been doing a lot of that. You were saying.
Yep. Thousands and thousands and thousands of books.
Make sure you come by the store at 816 East Main Street, Suite B in Carbondale, Illinois. We've been doing some remodeling.
Yes.
The store's been closed. Mike repainted the front of the side of the building. Looks really nice. Can't miss it. So be sure to come by. And And so this is Dan Brown. You can find me online at Twitter and Instagram at Detective651. What about you, Scott?
Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, BURG comics.com, Facebook, Instagram, eBay store, stores.ebay.com/burgcomics.
And where can people find you if they're wanting to stalk you, Mike? They can hit me up at Mike Atchison 5 on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the best way. I don't put out a whole lot of detail on Facebook and all that stuff.
What?
The job I'm in. What?
Yeah. So that's the previews episode. Next time, we're gonna start talking about Vigilante. I think it's kind of the plan.
Where I think before that, because we got to give Mike time to read it, we're gonna do the episode with our fan casting for the Apocalypse side.
Right. We never did do that.
And the Batman issues 1 and 2, and we had one other topic we were gonna do, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. So
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's next time.
And then Vigilante.
And then we're gonna start looking at Vigilante, the '80s book. If anybody wants to follow along with that.
Starting with the New Teen Titans 2 annual, and then the first issue will be our first podcast about that story.
All right.
That's great.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for listening and listen to our craziness here for a while. If there's anything you want to get that you heard us talk about, let Mike know. Let Mike know. No.
Mike. Thank God. I got a face for radio and a voice for print.